Greetings, fellow Slayers. Well, we're looking at Buffy the Vampire Slayer Season 2. Now continues on with the episode, I Only Have Eyes for You. At the Bronze, Buffy rejects the advances of Benjamin Straley, who's looking for a date for the Sadie Hawkins dance. She tells him she's never gonna date anyone again. On her way to check in with Giles, she stops a male student for a moment shooting a female student. They have no recollection of why they were fighting, and the gun disappears. Later, Principal Snyder blames Buffy for the incident. While waiting in his office after he gets called out, a yearbook from 1955 mysteriously falls on the shelf. Willow gives Giles a rose quartz necklace that she found in Miss Calendar's desk after he stopped by to check on Willow's new assignment as computer science teacher. In class later that day, Buffy falls asleep and dreams about events that take place in the same classroom, but in 1955. A male student and a female teacher having an affair, and stand in the classroom clandestinely talking. As Buffy comes back to the present, her teacher writes something from the lesson on the board. As he finishes writing, it becomes clear that he's unintentionally written, "Don't walk away from me, bitch," which is a line uttered by the student holding the gun who Buffy stopped. Afterward, Xander is grabbed by a monster arm inside his locker. Buffy helps him break away, but the arm disappears when they return to look. Giles is intrigued by the possibility of a ghost and is immediately sure that it's Jenny Calendar. Meanwhile, Angel, Spike, and Drusilla have taken up residence in an old abandoned mansion, and Angel passes the time taunting Spike and flirting with Drew. Spike rolls away in his wheelchair, obviously angry with Angel. Later that night, George, a janitor, meets Miss Frank, a teacher, in the hallway she is leaving after working late. She asks him if George is his correct name, making it clear that the two are barely acquainted. A moment later, the two begin a lover's quarrel, each of them obviously possessed by a spirit. When Spirit causes Miss Frank to say that she doesn't love him, a gun appears in George's hand. He shoots her, and she then falls over a balcony of the school. Giles, who is raiding his office, hears a woman's voice off camera saying, "I need you." Thinking it may be Jenny's ghost, he goes to investigate. He's too late to prevent the killing, but he tackles George just as the gun vanishes. Later, the group discuss the event in the library. Giles is convinced that Jenny is haunting the school, but Willow, Xander, and Buffy disagree with him. On the internet, Willow learns that in 1955, Sunnydale High student James Stanley killed his teacher, Grace Newman, on the eve of the Sadie Hawkins dance after she tried to break off their affair. Willow and Xander feel sorry for both of them. Buffy is particularly angry at the boy, insisting that while Grace deserves sympathy, James does not. Styles comments that the quality of mercy is not Buffy. Xander, Cordelia, Willow, and Buffy go to the school cafeteria for lunch, where chaos erupts when the food turns into snakes. The room empties quickly, and Cordelia is bitten on the face by a snake. Outside, Principal Snyder discusses the situation with Police Chief Bob Monroe. Snyder reveals his knowledge of the Hellmouth and expresses concern that he won't be able to keep the parents in the dark indefinitely. Monroe tells him that the city council expects Snyder to handle the situation, and suggests he should take it up with the mayor if that is difficult. Snyder is taken aback and says he will handle it. Willow devises a plan to contain the spirits, and they head off to the school where they prepare. Giles has already arrived and is trying to summon Jenny's spirit. Buffy hears music coming from the music room and sees Grace and James dancing there. James's face suddenly changes to a gory mess, startling Buffy. Cordelia looks in the mirror to find her face has become mutilated and red. On the stairwell, Willow begins to sink to the floor, and Giles rushes to save her. Willow finally convinces him that the spirit is not Jenny because she would never do such evil things. Everyone lights their candle and starts chanting the spell, but the candles will blow out and swarm wasps follow them through the hallways. Everyone rushes out to find the school surrounded by wasps. In the garden of their new home, Jill gets a vision about Buffy meeting with death. Spike goes Angel into actually facing Buffy instead of just taunting her, and Angel decides to finally go and confront her, but before making it clear to Spike that he intends to have his way with Drusilla afterwards. Meanwhile, the Scoobies regroup at Buffy's house. They agree that it's James's ghost, and Giles says the next step is to find out what the ghost James needs to accomplish. Buffy is the one who understands that he wants forgiveness, but she maintains that he doesn't deserve it and must live with it. Giles and Xander think that he should be forgiven whether he deserves it or not. Buffy is unmoved and stomps off to the kitchen. Cordelia asks, "Over-identify much?" indicating she understands that of all the harsh things Buffy said about James are really directed at herself. In the kitchen, Buffy hears a man's voice saying, "I need you," and finds a flyer for the 1955 Sadie Hawkins dance in her pocket. She heads to the school, where the last part for her to enter. Willow finds Buffy gone, having left the ad behind, and everyone rushes after Buffy, but the wasps prevent them from entering. Giles explains that James wants to reenact the incident, but with a different ending. They agree that it's not possible to have another ending, and they fear Buffy will be shot. Angel appears in the halls as Buffy, now possessed by James, talks to him as if he were Grace. They continue the ghost argument with Angel possessed by Grace's spirit. The two lovers speak in lines relevant to both couples. At the climax, Buffy pulls out a gun and shoots Angel. He falls off the balcony as though dead. Buffy, still possessed by James's ghost, rushes off to the music room where James killed himself. Angel, still possessed by Grace, is now killed by the bullets, as vampires are immune. He wakes up and runs to the music room just in time to stop Buffy from pulling the trigger. Grace tells James she never stopped loving him, that she knows it was an accident that the gun went off, and that it wasn't his fault. She says she loved him with her last breath. They exchange apologies and kiss passionately. The spirits, now able to pass on, leave the bodies of Angel and Buffy and break away from the kiss. Angel pushes Buffy away and rushes off. Buffy talks to Giles, processing the recent events. She didn't understand why Grace would forgive James, but she says it doesn't matter. At his mansion, Angel scrubs at his body, seeing it was violated by being infested with love. He then gets the urge for a real Val kill to cleanse himself. Giselle invites Spike out as well, but Angel makes it clear that Spike is not welcome, claiming they need to travel light since it's not long before sunrise. As they leave, Spike stands up and kicks the chair aside, revealing that he is fully healed from his spinal injury and has been feigning weakness, waiting for his chance to strike back. Dun dun dun. So now let's take a look at some continuity surrounding this episode. This is the first appearance of the Crawford Street Mansion, which will appear frequently for the rest of the season 2 and throughout season 3 as Angel's home before he leaves Sunnydale. This is the first Buffyverse episode in which the 9 blooming jasmine flower is compared to vampires. This happens again in The Trial and Shiny Happy People. While possessed by the ghosts, Angel tells Buffy that he must leave her despite loving her so much so she can have a normal life, something he will do at the end of season 3. In Waiting in the Wings, when Angel and Cordelia are possessed by the spirits of lovers past, Angel says that he was possessed by ghostly lovers before, referring to this episode. Ellen Frank is the 5th known member of Sunnydale's staff to die after Dr. Gregory, the She-Mantis, Principal Flutie, and Jenny. Spike, who ever since West My Land Part 2 has been confined to a wheelchair with a burned face, is shown to secretly be fully healed of his injuries after several months. The burns on his face have finally disappeared, and he's able to get out of the wheelchair at the end of the episode. He keeps it to himself, though, waiting for a better time to strike back. This episode appears to be the beginning of Willow's interest in witchcraft, as she admits that she has started to look through Jenny's files and websites on the subject. Sarah leads to her having enough knowledge to perform the ritual restoration, and later status as a powerful witch. While Willow's laying out her plan for dealing with haunting, she suggests the only solution is the final solution. Xander responds, "Nuke the school? I like that." In Graduation Day Part 2, the gang will blow up the school to defeat the mayor in demon form. Oh boy, that's going to be interesting. So let's take a look at some behind-the-scenes information beginning with the broadcast. I Only Have Ice for You had an audience of 3.6 million households upon its original airing. This episode originally aired with a public service announcement at the end regarding teen suicide. Sarah Michelle Gellar voiced over the PSA co-sponsored by Cedars-Sinai Medical Center's T-Line and the American Association of Suicidology. Did not know that. So now let's take a look at some pop culture references. The Sadie Hawkins dance is a dance sponsored by schools to which the women invite the men. Willow says, "You came, you saw, you rejected," paraphrasing the phrase, "I came, I saw, I conquered," attributed to Julius Caesar. Grace and James talked about the novel Farewell to Arms by Ernest Hemingway, about a teenage World War I soldier who has a romance with an older army nurse. Buffy says, "You just went OJ on your girlfriend," referring to the 1994 O.J. Simpson trial. Xander's line, I'm dead as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore. Paraphrases the line, I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take this anymore, from the film Network. Snyder mentions the film JFK when giving Buffy a lecture about conspiracies. Xander's comment, the quality of mercy is not Buffy, is paraphrased from the Shakespeare play The Merchant of Venice. The true line is, the quality of mercy is not strained. And then finally, let's take a look at some goofs. In the beginning, Willow says that she found all kinds of cool stuff on Miss Calendar's computer, but an angel smashed and burned it in order to destroy her files. This could be attributed to the scene only showing the monitor being burned and smashed and burned, not the actual tower. The Flamingo song I Only Have Eyes for You was not released until 1959. The Ghost Story said in 1955, 4 years prior to its release. Meredith Salinger's surname is misspelled in credits as Salinger as opposed to Salenger. Willow refers to the soulful charms she made as scapulas, which are shoulder blades. She is still referred to scapulars, Christian garments suspended from the shoulders or worn around the neck. As this happens multiple times, this is likely an error in the script and not a mispronunciation. Oh, interesting. So overall, I think this episode is just okay, in my humble opinion, and yeah, there's not really much going for it, so yeah. So overall, I give I Only Have Eyes for You 3 vampire steaks out of 5. Well, anyway, to the bit as we take a look at the next episode, Go Fish. So, until then, here endeth the lesson.